The alarm bells rang across the Galactic Council's main station. Red lights flashed in every hallway as alien species rushed to their posts. Something big had happened, and nobody knew what it was. Commander Zeftar of the Valdris Empire stood in the main control room. His 6 eyes moved quickly across the large screens that showed maps of the galaxy. Each screen told the same strange story. The human ships were gone. All of them. "This cannot be right," Zeftar said to his assistant. "Run the scans again." The young Valdris officer pressed buttons on his control panel. Numbers and symbols flashed on the screen. After a few minutes, he looked up with confusion in his eyes. "Sir, the results are the same. We cannot find any human ships in sectors 7 through 23. They were there yesterday. Today they are gone." Zeftar felt his stomach drop. The humans had been patrolling those areas for 10 years. Their ships always followed the same routes. They were predictable, quiet, and never caused trouble. Most aliens in the galaxy thought humans were not very smart. Their ships looked old and simple compared to alien technology. But now they were all gone. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Velnara of the Kethvar Empire received similar reports. She stood on the bridge of her massive warship and listened as her officers gave her the news. "Captain, we have checked 17 different star systems," said her second officer. "The human patrol ships that should be there are missing. We found no wreckage, no distress signals, nothing." Velnara's red eyes glowed brighter. The Kethvar were known as the most aggressive species in the galaxy. They had been waiting for a chance to expand their territory. The humans had been in their way for years. "How many human ships are missing?" she asked. "All of them, Captain. Our intelligence reports say 847 human vessels have vanished. Every single patrol ship, cargo vessel, and scout craft." A smile spread across Velnara's face. This was the opportunity her people had been waiting for. Meanwhile, on Earth's moon base, Admiral Tae-ho Kim sat in his office. He looked calm as he read reports on his computer screen. His assistant, Captain Sora Park, stood beside his desk. "Admiral, the Galactic Council has called an emergency meeting," Sora said. "They want to know what happened to our fleet." Tae-ho looked up from his screen. His face showed no emotion. "And what will you tell them?" "Whatever you want me to tell them, sir." Tae-ho stood up and walked to the large window that looked out into space. Earth hung in the distance like a blue marble. He had served in the human fleet for 30 years. He knew things that most people did not know. "Tell them we are investigating," he said quietly. "Tell them we lost contact with our ships 3 days ago." Sora nodded. She had worked with Tae-ho for 5 years. She knew he always had a plan, even when things seemed bad. On the main Galactic Council station, Ambassador Wu Jin Lee received the call to attend the emergency meeting. He was a thin man with gray hair and kind eyes. Most aliens thought he was a simple diplomat who just wanted peace. Wu Jin walked into the Great Council chamber. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the curved seats. The room buzzed with worried voices speaking in many different languages. High Chancellor Mordek of the Tandaran Republic called for order. His voice was deep and loud. "We are here because of a serious situation. The human fleet has disappeared. We need answers." All eyes turned to Wu Jin. He stood up slowly and looked around the room. Many of the aliens seemed happy about the news. Others looked worried. "Honored members of the council," Wu Jin began. "Earth is also concerned about our missing ships. We lost contact with them 3 days ago. We are doing everything we can to find them." "Perhaps they were destroyed," suggested Senator Krixtall from the hegemony. "Humans have many enemies in the outer systems." "Or maybe they ran away," laughed Captain Velnara, who had arrived to represent the Kethvar. "Human ships are weak. They probably could not handle real space anymore." Wu Jin listened to all the comments without changing his expression. Inside, he knew the truth. But he could not tell them. Not yet. Back on Earth's moon base, Dr. Heejin Nam worked in her secret laboratory. She was a xenobiologist who studied alien behavior. Her lab was hidden deep underground where no alien scanners could find it. She looked at dozens of screens that showed alien communications from across the galaxy. The messages were all about the missing human fleet. She smiled as she read them. They have no idea, she said to herself. Commander Jae-sung Choi sat in another hidden base on one of Jupiter's moons. His job was to watch alien movements without being seen. His screen showed ships from different alien empires starting to move toward areas that humans used to patrol. It is beginning, he said into his communication device. The HFY are mobilizing their expansion fleet. The Valdris are sending scouts to the Outer Rim. The hegemony is moving ships toward the trade routes. His message went to Admiral Tae-ho on the moon. Tae-ho received many similar messages from hidden bases around the galaxy. Everything was going exactly as planned. Captain Da Un-yoon commanded a special reconnaissance ship that no alien had ever seen. Her vessel used technology that most humans did not even know existed. She could watch alien fleets without them knowing she was there. Admiral, she reported to Tae-ho, alien activity has increased by 300% in the last 24 hours. They think the galaxy is open for them to take. Good, Tae-ho replied. Let them think that. Keep watching and report everything. On the Galactics Council Station, the emergency meeting continued for hours. Alien representatives argued about what to do. Some wanted to search for the missing humans. Others wanted to take over human territory right away. We should wait, said Chancellor Mordek. The humans might return. Wait for what? Captain Velnara stood up. The humans are gone. Their weak ships finally broke down or got destroyed. This is our chance to expand and grow stronger. Many aliens agreed with her. They had been jealous of human territory for years. The areas that humans patrolled had good planets and important trade routes. Ambassador Wu Jin listened to all the arguments. When they asked him to speak again, he stood up calmly. Earth requests that all species respect our territorial boundaries while we search for our missing people, he said. We believe our ships will return soon. This made many aliens angry. They thought Wu Jin was being naive. How could he believe the ships would return when there was no sign of them anywhere? As the meeting ended, alien representatives began making secret deals with each other. The HFY planned to take the outer systems. The Valdris wanted the trade routes near the galactic center. The hegemony set their sights on the resource-rich planets in the Middle Territories. None of them noticed that Ambassador Wu Jin seemed very calm for someone whose entire fleet had vanished. They did not see the small smile on his face as he left the council chamber. That night, as alien empires across the galaxy began moving their ships toward former human territory, Admiral Tae-ho Kim sat in his office on the moon. He looked at the reports from his hidden observers. Everything was happening exactly as he had predicted. Sora entered his office with a cup of tea. The aliens are taking the bait, she said. They always do, Tae-ho replied. They think humans are simple and weak. They think our ships breaking down or getting destroyed is the most likely explanation. And when do we show them the truth? Tae-ho sipped his tea and looked out at the stars. When they reveal their true nature to us. When we see who can be trusted and who cannot. Far away, in places no alien scanner could detect, 847 human ships waited in the darkness between dimensions. Their crews watched as alien empires began to show their real intentions. The test had begun, and humanity was about to learn which of their galactic neighbors were friends and which were enemies. The galaxy would never be the same again. 2 weeks had passed since the human fleet vanished. The galaxy was changing fast. Alien ships moved through space like hungry predators looking for easy prey. The areas where humans used to patrol were now filled with foreign vessels from different empires. Commander Jae-sung Choi watched it all happen from his hidden observation post. His base was built inside a dead asteroid that looked like empty rock from the outside. Inside, it was full of the most advanced equipment Earth had ever made. The HFY expansion fleet just entered the Kepler system, reported his communications officer Ensign Min-soo Kim. 37 warships. They are setting up mining operations on the planets there. Jae-sung nodded as he made notes on his tablet. The Kepler system had been under human protection for 8 years. The peaceful aliens who lived there had asked humans to help keep aggressive species away. Now those same aggressive species were moving in. Any response from the Kepler inhabitants? Jae-sung asked. They sent distress signals to the Galactic Council. No one answered. Dr. Hyejin Nam worked day and night in her underground laboratory. Her job was to study how different alien species behaved when they thought no one was watching. The results were both interesting and disturbing. She looked at intercepts of HFY communications. The messages were full of plans to enslave the peaceful species they found. They talked about taking resources and forcing weaker aliens to work in their mines. The Valdris Empire was not much better. Their ships had moved into 3-star systems that used to be under human protection. They were demanding tribute from local governments. Pay us or we will attack, their messages said. The hegemony was more subtle but just as dangerous. They sent trade delegations to planets in former human territory. These delegations made offers that were really threats. Give us exclusive mining rights, or we might not be able to protect you from other empires. Only a few alien species showed any concern for the missing humans. The Altair Federation sent search ships to look for survivors. The Centauri Republic offered to help patrol some areas until humans returned. Most others just saw opportunity. Captain Da-eun Yoon piloted her invisible reconnaissance ship through the busy space lanes. Her vessel existed in what humans called fold space, a dimension between normal space and hyperspace. She could see everything, but nothing could see her. This is Ghost Ship 7 reporting, she said into her communicator. The hegemony has established control over the Vega trade routes. They are charging triple rates for passage through areas that used to be free. Admiral Tae-ho Kim received her report at his moonbase. He sat in his command center surrounded by screens showing alien activity across the galaxy. Each screen told a story of greed and aggression. Admiral, Captain Sora Park said as she entered the room, Dr. Hyejin has completed her analysis of the first 2 weeks. Would you like to see it? Put it on the main screen. The large display showed a map of the galaxy. Green areas marked places where aliens were behaving well. Yellow areas showed questionable behavior. Red areas indicated serious aggression or violence. The map was mostly red and yellow. Only 12% of observed species have shown genuine concern for human welfare, Sora read from the report. 23% have actively moved to take human territory. The remaining 65% are either staying neutral or taking advantage of the situation in smaller ways. Tae-ho studied the map carefully. This was exactly what he had expected, but it was still disappointing to see. On the hidden observation station in the Proxima system, Lieutenant Dong Wu Shin monitored communications between alien governments. What he heard made him angry. We should have done this years ago, a HFY general was saying to his fleet commanders. The humans were weak. We could have taken their territory anytime we wanted. The question now, replied a fleet captain, is whether they are all dead or just hiding somewhere. If they are hiding, we need to find them and finish the job. Dongwu recorded every word. These aliens were not just taking advantage of human absence. They were talking about hunting down and killing any humans they could find. Meanwhile, in the Outer Rim territories, terrible things were happening to the peaceful species that humans used to protect. The Rillian colony sent desperate messages asking for help. HFY forces had landed on their homeworld and were forcing the population to work in dangerous mines. The gentle Aquari people watched as their ocean planets were polluted by Valdris industrial ships. The crystal cities of the ethereal race were being dismantled by hegemony salvage crews who claimed the crystals were abandoned property. Every crime was documented by hidden human observers. Every act of aggression was recorded. Every species that showed their true nature when they thought no one was watching was marked on Admiral Tae-ho's growing list. But not all the news was bad. Captain Yun-Soo Lee commanded a monitoring station near the Altair Federation's territory. She watched as Altair ships continued to search for missing humans, even though it cost them time and resources. The Altair Federation has sent 12 search and rescue ships to different systems, she reported. They are not trying to claim human territory. They seem genuinely worried about what happened to our people. Similar reports came from the Centauri Republic and a few other smaller species. These aliens had offered to help patrol dangerous areas to keep pirates and aggressive empires from taking advantage of the human absence. Dr. Youngmi Kang worked in the deepest levels of the moon base. She was the chief scientist responsible for the technology that made all of this possible. Her dimensional fold generators allowed human ships to hide in spaces that normal sensors could not detect. "Admiral," she reported to Tae-ho during their weekly meeting, "the fold space generators are working perfectly. All 847 ships remain undetected. The crews are ready to return to normal space whenever you give the order." "How are the crews handling the long wait?" Tae-ho asked. "Better than expected. They understand the importance of the mission. Knowing that they are protecting Earth and documenting alien behavior helps keep morale high." Youngmi did not mention that some crew members were getting angry, watching peaceful species suffer while they stayed hidden. She knew Tae-ho was aware of this tension. On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Woo Jin Lee attended another emergency session. The council chamber was more crowded than usual. Many species had sent extra representatives to argue about territorial claims. "The human territories must be administered by the council until they return," declared Chancellor Mordek of the Tandaran Republic. "We cannot allow chaos." Captain Velnara of the Kethvar Empire laughed loudly. "Administered? We have already established mining operations in 7 systems. Possession is stronger than paperwork. Those systems are under Galactic Council protection," protested Senator Quintara from the Altair Federation. "You have no right to claim them." "We have the right of the strong," Velnara replied. "The humans are gone. Their protection agreements died with them." Woo Jin listened to the arguments with his usual calm expression. Inside, he was carefully noting which species supported peaceful solutions and which ones supported aggressive expansion. When asked to speak, he stood up slowly. "Earth maintains that our territories remain under our protection. We ask all species to respect our boundaries while we continue searching for our missing fleet." Many aliens laughed at this statement. How could Earth protect anything without ships? But a few species nodded in agreement, supporting the human position even though it seemed hopeless. As weeks turned into months, the pattern became clear. About 15% of galactic species were proving themselves to be genuinely peaceful and trustworthy. These aliens continued to respect human territory, help search for survivors, and protect weaker species from aggressive empires. Another 15% were showing themselves to be extremely dangerous. They had moved quickly to claim human territory, enslave peaceful populations, and grab resources. Some of them openly talked about hunting down any surviving humans. The remaining 70% fell somewhere in between. They were not actively aggressive, but they were willing to look the other way when stronger species committed crimes. They chose their own safety over doing what was right. Back on his hidden base, Commander Jae-sung Choi received disturbing reports from across the galaxy. 3 entire species had been enslaved by the Kethvar Empire. The Valdris had destroyed 2 colonies that refused to pay tribute. The hegemony had claimed 17 planets as abandoned property. Meanwhile, human observers watched it all happen from their invisible ships. They documented every crime, recorded every communication, and mapped every aggressive move. The evidence was building into a massive database of alien behavior when they thought no consequences existed. Captain Da-un-yoon piloted her reconnaissance ship through the heart of Kethvar space. What she saw there made her sick. Entire planets had been turned into slave camps. Peaceful species were forced to work in terrible conditions to feed the Kethvar war machine. "Admiral," she reported to Tae-ho, "the situation in former human territory is getting worse every day. How much longer do we wait?" Tae-ho looked at his screens showing the suffering across the galaxy. The human plan was working perfectly, but the cost was high. Captain Min Ho-young stood on the bridge of his ship, the HSS Determination. For 3 months his vessel had existed in fold space, watching the Kethvar Empire destroy everything they touched. Today, that was going to change. "Captain," his navigation officer called out, "the Kethvar expansion fleet is approaching the Rillian homeworld. 57 ships including their command dreadnought." Min Ho looked at the tactical display. The Rillians were a peaceful species that had never hurt anyone. They had beautiful cities made of living coral that grew beneath their planet's oceans. The HFY wanted to harvest that coral to build weapons. "Signal Admiral Tejo," Minho ordered. "Request permission to reveal ourselves." The reply came, back within minutes. "Permission granted. Show them what humans are really capable of." Minho took a deep breath. After months of hiding and watching, it felt good to finally act. "All hands, prepare for dimensional phase transition. We are going back to normal space." The HSS Determination shimmered like heat waves rising from hot ground. Slowly, the ship began to appear in normal space directly in front of the HFY fleet. To the aliens, it looked like the human vessel was materializing out of nothing. On the HFY command ship, General Korath stared at his screens in confusion. "What is that? Where did it come from?" His sensor officer checked his equipment twice before answering. "Sir, it appears to be a human vessel, but that is impossible. All human ships vanished months ago." "One ship," Korath laughed. "One small human ship thinks it can stop my entire fleet. This will be amusing." He opened a communication channel to the human vessel. "Human ship, you are in HFY territory now. Surrender or be destroyed." Captain Minho appeared on Korath's screen. He was a young man with calm eyes and a confident smile. "General Korath, this is Captain Minho Jung of the Human Space Navy. You are ordered to leave Rillian space immediately." Korath and his officers burst into laughter. "You order me? Little human, I have 57 warships. You have one small vessel. Do the math." "I have done the math," Minho replied calmly. "The numbers are not what you think they are." "Enough of this nonsense," Korath growled. "All ships target the human vessel. Fire at will." 57 HFY ships turned their weapons toward the HSS Determination. Energy beams and missile volleys streaked through space toward the lone human ship. Minho and his crew watched calmly. As the deadly barrage approached, the weapons passed right through their ship without causing any damage. General Korath stared at his screens in shock. "What happened? Why did our weapons not hit?" "Because we are not entirely in your dimension," Minho explained. "Human technology has advanced beyond your understanding. We exist in what we call fold space, between your reality and hyperspace." To demonstrate, Minho ordered his ship to phase completely out of normal space. The HSS Determination vanished from all HFY sensors. Then it reappeared directly behind the HFY flagship. "We can appear anywhere we choose," Minho continued. "We can see you, but you cannot hurt us. Now leave Rillian space, or I will show you what our weapons can do to ships that exist in only one dimension." Korath was not ready to give up. "You are bluffing. One ship cannot defeat my fleet." Minho sighed. "You still do not understand." He pressed a button on his command chair. "Computer, reveal Ghost Fleet Alpha." Suddenly, 50 human ships appeared around the HFY fleet. They had been there all along, hidden in fold space. The HFY found themselves surrounded by vessels that could see them but could not be touched. But Minho was not finished. "Computer, reveal Ghost Fleet Beta." Another 50 human ships materialized, then 50 more, and 50 more after that. Within minutes, the HFY expansion fleet was surrounded by over 400 human vessels that had appeared from nowhere. Each ship was larger and more advanced than anything the HFY had ever seen. General Korath's confidence melted away like ice in a fire. How is this possible? Because humans never left," Minho explained. "We have been watching you. All of you. Every crime you committed, every innocent species you enslaved, every act of aggression you thought no one could see. We saw it all. On distant observation posts throughout the galaxy, other human commanders received similar orders. The test phase was ending. It was time to reveal the truth. Captain So-Young Kim commanded the Ghost Ship 17 in Valdris space. She watched as Valdris forces prepared to attack a peaceful colony that had refused to pay their demands for tribute. "Valdris fleet, this is Captain So-Young Kim of the Human Space Navy," she announced, as her ship phased into normal space. Your attack on innocent civilians ends now. The Valdris commander, Admiral Vexton, could not believe what he was seeing. Impossible. The humans are extinct. Reports of our extinction have been greatly exaggerated, So Young replied. She signaled her hidden fleet. 20 human ships appeared around the Valdris vessels. Leave this system immediately. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human ships appeared in dozens of star systems where alien empires had been committing crimes against peaceful species. Each time, the aggressors found themselves surrounded by technology they could not understand or fight. Dr. Hee-Jin Nam monitored alien communications from her secret laboratory. The messages were filled with panic and confusion. How had the humans hidden so many ships? Where had this advanced technology come from? Most importantly, what did the humans plan to do now? General Haewon Shin coordinated the reveals from her command center on Mars. She had been planning this moment for years. Every human ship knew exactly when and where to appear for maximum effect. Ma'am, her communications officer reported, we have successfully revealed human presence in 43 star systems. All aggressive alien forces are requesting instructions from their home governments. And how are their governments responding? Haewon asked, with confusion and fear. They are all trying to understand how we hid so many ships for so long. On the Galactic Council Station, emergency alarms rang for the second time in 3 months. This time the crisis was even bigger than when the human fleet had vanished. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy of human ships appearing from nowhere. Chancellor Mordek called another emergency session. The council chamber filled, with alien representatives who were all talking at once. Everyone wanted to know what was happening. Ambassador Wu Jin Lee walked into the chamber with the same calm expression he always wore. But this time, there was something different in his eyes. The time for pretending was over. Honored representatives, Chancellor Mordek called for order. We have received reports that human ships are appearing throughout the galaxy. Ambassador Lee, can you explain what is happening? Wu Jin stood up slowly. For months he had played the role of a worried diplomat whose fleet had vanished. Now he could tell the truth. The human fleet never vanished, he said simply. We have been here all along, watching and learning. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives shouted questions and accusations. How dare the humans deceive them? What right did they have to spy on other species? Wu Jin waited for the noise to die down before continuing. We had every right to watch species that were moving into our territory. What we discovered was very educational. He activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked locations where alien species had committed acts of aggression against peaceful populations. While you all thought humans were gone, some of you revealed your true nature. The Kethvar Empire enslaved 3 entire species. The Valdris Republic destroyed colonies that refused to pay tribute. The hegemony claimed dozens of planets as abandoned property. The alien representatives accused of these crimes tried to defend themselves, but Wu Jin had recordings of their communications. Evidence of every crime was displayed for all to see. But not all species behaved badly, Wu Jin continued. The Altair Federation sent ships to search for our missing people. The Centauri Republic offered to help patrol dangerous areas. Several smaller species risked their own safety to protect populations we could no longer openly defend. Back in Rillian space, Captain Minho still faced off with General Korath and the Kethvar fleet. The alien general was beginning to understand that he was completely outmatched. What do you want from us? Korath asked. Simple, Minho replied. Leave the system. Return all enslaved populations to their homeworlds. Stop your expansion into former human territory. And if we refuse, Minho's expression hardened. Then you will discover that humans can be very creative when protecting innocent people. Our ships exist between dimensions. We can appear anywhere, anytime, your planets, your trade routes, your military bases. Nothing is hidden from us. To prove his point, Minho showed Korath tactical displays of every major Kethvar military installation. Human ships were already in position around each one, invisible and ready to act. Korath realized that his empire was completely exposed. The humans could strike at any target they chose, and the Kethavar could not fight back against enemies they could not see or touch. "You have given us much to think about," Korath said carefully. "Think quickly," Minho warned. "Our patience with species that harm innocent people is very limited." Across the galaxy, similar conversations were taking place. The Great Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy filled the curved seats. Emergency delegates stood in the aisles. The air was thick with tension and whispered conversations in dozens of alien languages. Ambassador Wu Jin Li walked to the center of the chamber. Behind him, a massive holographic display showed the seal of Earth. But today, he was not the same worried diplomat who had been asking for help finding missing human ships. Today, he carried himself like someone who held all the cards in a very dangerous game. "Honored representatives," Chancellor Mordek called for order. "Ambassador Li has requested to address this emergency session. The floor is yours, Ambassador." Wu Jin looked around the chamber slowly. His eyes met those of aliens who had shown kindness during humanity's test, and those who had revealed themselves as threats. When he spoke, his voice was calm but carried a strength that had never been there before. 3 months ago, I stood in this chamber and told you that Earth's fleet had vanished. That was not entirely true. Today I will tell you what really happened and what it means for all of us. The chamber fell silent. Even the most aggressive species leaned forward to hear what the human ambassador had to say. The human fleet did not vanish by accident. We made them disappear. Every ship, every crew member, every patrol vessel. They all went into what we call fold space, a dimension between normal space and hyperspace where we could watch without being seen. Angry voices erupted from several sections of the chamber. Captain Velnara of the Kethvar stood up, her red eyes blazing with fury. "You deceived us. You spied on sovereign species. This is an act of war." Wu Jin remained calm as the protests continued. When the noise finally died down, he continued his explanation. "We did not spy for conquest or personal gain. We conducted an observation study to determine which species in this galaxy could be trusted with advanced technology and which posed a threat to peaceful civilizations." He activated the holographic display. The galaxy appeared above the chamber, but this time it was marked with detailed information that made many aliens gasp in shock. "This is what we learned while you thought no one was watching." Red zones covered nearly a quarter of the galaxy. These marked areas where aggressive species had committed acts of violence against peaceful populations during the test period. The Kethvar Empire enslaved the entire Rillian species and forced them to work in toxic mines. Death rate, 37%. The Valdris Republic destroyed the colony on New Geneva because the settlers refused to pay tribute. 2 million civilians died. Video recordings began playing on the display. They showed Kethvar soldiers dragging Rillian civilians from their homes. They showed Valdris warships bombarding helpless colonies. They showed hegemony forces claiming abandoned planets where peaceful species still lived. The hegemony seized 47 planets and claimed they were empty, despite clear evidence of indigenous populations. The Xerion Collective began experimenting on captured civilians from 6 different species. Each accusation was backed up with recorded communications, video evidence, and detailed reports from human observers who had watched it all happen. "But we also observed acts of courage and kindness," Wu Jin continued. The display changed to show green zones scattered across the galaxy. The Altair Federation sent search and rescue ships to look for our missing people, even though it cost them resources they could not spare. The Centauri Republic offered to patrol dangerous areas to protect peaceful species in our absence. Senator Quintara from the Altair Federation looked surprised but pleased. She had not known that humans were watching when her government made the decision to help search for missing human ships. 17 species showed genuine concern for human welfare and for the protection of peaceful civilizations. These species will be offered partnership in human dimensional technology and expanded trade agreements. Now the chamber erupted in different kinds of voices. Species that had behaved well were pleased by the promise of advanced technology. Those that had revealed aggressive tendencies were angry about being caught and exposed. Wu Jin waited for quiet again before delivering the most important part of his message. Dr. Youngmi Kang, our chief dimensional scientist, will now explain exactly what human technology can do. A holographic image of Dr. Youngmi appeared beside Wu Jin. She was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes but a very serious expression. Honored representatives, she began. Human dimensional fold technology allows our ships to exist in multiple layers of space simultaneously. We can see and hear everything that happens in normal space, but sensors and weapons in normal space cannot detect or harm us. To demonstrate, she activated another display. It showed the current positions of human ships throughout the galaxy. There were thousands of them, hidden in fold space around every major alien installation. Every planet, every space station, every military base in the galaxy is currently being observed by human vessels. We can appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. The implications of this statement hit the alien representatives like a physical blow. Captain Velnara of the Kethvar was the first to understand what it meant. "You are threatening us," she accused. "We are informing you," Dr. Youngmi replied calmly. "Species that have shown themselves to be threats to peaceful civilizations will find their expansion capabilities limited." Admiral Taeho Kim's image appeared on the display. Even though he was speaking from his command center on Earth's moon, his presence filled the council chamber. "I am Admiral Taeho Kim, commander of humanity's dimensional fleet. For 3 months my ships have watched as some of you revealed your true nature. We documented every crime, every act of aggression, every moment when you thought no consequences existed." He activated another display showing detailed files on every species represented in the chamber. Green files contained notes about helpful and peaceful behavior. Red files were much thicker and contained evidence of war crimes and aggressive expansion. The species with red files will find that their ability to threaten peaceful populations has ended. Any attempt to expand into territories inhabited by non-aggressive species will be met with immediate intervention. General Haiwan Shin appeared beside Admiral Taeho. "Human dimensional ships are now positioned around every major military installation belonging to aggressive species. We can disable your weapons, your communications, and your transportation systems without you ever seeing us coming." To prove this point, she activated a tactical display showing the Kethvar home system. Dozens of human ships appeared on the screen, surrounding every planet and space station. "These ships have been there for weeks," Haiwan explained. "You never knew they were watching." Captain Minho Jung's image joined the others. 3 days ago, I confronted a Kethvar fleet that was preparing to harvest the living coral cities of the Rillian homeworld. When General Korath refused to leave, I had to demonstrate what human weapons can do to ships that exist in only one dimension. The display showed video from that confrontation. The massive Kethvar dreadnought was completely disabled by weapons that seemed to come from empty space. The ship was not destroyed, but every system on board stopped working until the Kethvar agreed to leave Rillian space. "We do not seek to conquer or destroy," Admiral Taeho continued, "but we will protect peaceful species from those who would harm them. This is not negotiable." President Sun Woo Choi appeared on the display via dimensional broadcast from Earth. He was an elderly man with gray hair and eyes that had seen many difficult decisions. "My fellow galactic citizens," he began, "Earth officially announces our new role as guardians of galactic peace. Species that have proven themselves trustworthy will enjoy human friendship and access to our technology. Species that have shown aggressive tendencies will find their actions closely monitored." The chamber was completely silent now. Every alien representative was trying to understand what this meant for their people. "But we are not dictators," President Sun Woo continued. "Species that have made mistakes during our observation period will have the chance to change their behavior. The Kethvar Empire can release their enslaved populations and focus on peaceful development. The Valdris Republic can stop demanding tribute and return stolen resources. Change is possible for those who choose it." Captain Velnara stood up again, her voice filled with anger. "And if we refuse? If we do not accept your judgment of our actions?" The answer came from Director Yunbi Song, who commanded humanity's dimensional monitoring network. "Then you will discover that a species with dimensional technology can make life very difficult for those who insist on threatening peaceful populations. She showed a new display that made several alien representatives gasp in fear. It was a real-time view of the Kethvar Military Academy on their homeworld. Human students were sitting in the classrooms listening to lectures about conquest and domination. "We can put our people anywhere," Director Yunbi explained. "Your most secure facilities, your government buildings, your military headquarters. There is nowhere you can hide from species that exist in multiple dimensions." But the demonstration was not meant only to threaten. Another image showed human medical teams appearing in hospitals throughout Altair Federation space. 6 months had passed since humanity revealed their true capabilities to the galaxy. The changes that followed were bigger than anyone had expected. The old order of aggressive expansion and conquest was ending, replaced by something completely new. President Sunwoo Choi stood in his office on Earth, looking out at the stars through a massive window. Behind him, screens showed peaceful negotiations between species that had been enemies for centuries. The threat of human intervention had forced many conflicts to end through talking instead of fighting. "Mr. President," his assistant entered the room. "The quarterly Galactic Stability Report is ready." Sunwoo turned to read the document. The numbers were remarkable. Aggressive military actions between species had dropped by 94%. Trade disputes were being settled through diplomatic channels instead of warfare. Most importantly, the enslavement and abuse of peaceful species had almost completely stopped. "Any species still refusing to cooperate?" he asked. "3, sir. The Kethvar Empire, the Zerian Collective, and the warlords of Grimtar. All others have either reformed their behavior or entered into partnership agreements with us." Admiral Taeho Kim was dealing with those holdout species from his command center. The Kethvar had been the most stubborn, refusing to release their enslaved populations or stop their expansion efforts. They seemed to believe they could find ways to fight against dimensional technology. "Admiral," Captain Sora Park reported, "Kethvar forces are massing near the Altair border. Intelligence suggests they plan to test our response by attacking our allies." "How many ships?" Taeho asked. 237 warships, including their newest dreadnoughts." Taeho nodded calmly. "Signal Ghost Fleet Command. Prepare Operation Mirror Shield." Operation Mirror Shield was humanity's answer to species that refused to accept the new galactic order. Instead of destroying enemy fleets, human ships would simply make them disappear into fold space. The aggressive vessels would find themselves trapped between dimensions, unable to harm anyone but also unable to return home until they agreed to peaceful behavior. Captain Min Ho Jung commanded the lead ship in the operation. His vessel, now called the HSS Peacekeeper, waited in fold space with 50 other human ships as the Kethvar fleet approached Altair territory. "All ships report ready," his tactical officer announced. "Kethvar fleet will enter Altair space in 30 minutes. "Understood. Signal Admiral Taeho that we are prepared to execute on his command." The Kethvar fleet, under the command of General Korath, moved confidently toward Altair space. Korath believed that humans were bluffing about their abilities. Surely no species could really control dimensional technology the way humans claimed. "General," his sensor officer reported, "we are detecting no human ships in this area. The way to Altair territory is clear." "Excellent," Korath smiled. "Today we will show the galaxy that the Kethvar Empire does not bow to human threats." But as his fleet crossed into Altair space, something impossible happened. One by one, his ships began to disappear. They did not explode or get destroyed. They simply faded away like ghosts, vanishing from all sensors while their crews watched in terror. "What is happening?" Korath demanded. "Where are my ships going?" Captain Minho's image appeared on Korath's communication screen. "Your ships are being relocated to fold space, General. They are perfectly safe, but they can no longer threaten peaceful populations." "Bring them back," Korath shouted. "This is an act of war." "This is an act of peace," Minho replied calmly. "Your ships will be returned when you agree to release all enslaved populations and end your expansion into territories inhabited by non-aggressive species." Korath watched helplessly as more of his ships disappeared. Within an hour, his entire fleet had been relocated to fold space. He was left alone in his flagship. surrounded by empty space and human vessels he could not see or fight. Similar operations were conducted against the Xerion Collective and the warlords of Grimtar. Species that refused to accept peaceful coexistence found their military capabilities simply removed from normal space until they agreed to change their behavior. Dr. Youngmi Kang monitored these operations from her laboratory on the moon. The dimensional fold technology was working perfectly, allowing humanity to neutralize threats without causing death or destruction. It was the most humane form of warfare ever developed. Dr. Kang, her assistant reported, "We are receiving surrender requests from all 3 holdout species. They want to negotiate the return of their fleets. Refer them to Ambassador Wu Jin," she replied. "Diplomatic solutions are always preferable to military ones." The negotiations took place on the Galactic Council Station. Representatives from the Kethvar Empire, Xerion Collective, and warlords of Grimtar sat across from Ambassador Wu Jin Li. Their attitudes had changed dramatically from the arrogance they had shown months earlier. "What do you want from us?" General Korath asked. His pride had been completely broken by watching his entire fleet disappear without being able to fight back. "Simple reforms," Wu Jin replied. "Release all enslaved populations. End aggressive expansion into territories inhabited by peaceful species. Submit to regular monitoring to ensure compliance with galactic peace agreements. And if we agree to these terms, your fleets will be returned. Your species will be given opportunities for peaceful trade and development. You may even qualify for limited access to human technology if you prove your commitment to change." The negotiations took 3 days, but eventually all 3 species agreed to the terms. They had learned that fighting against dimensional technology was impossible. Their only choice was to adapt to the new galactic order. Captain Da Yun Yun commanded one of the ships responsible for returning the captured fleets to normal space. As Kethvar vessels reappeared around their homeworld, she monitored their communications to ensure they were following the agreements. "All Kethvar ships have been returned," she reported to Admiral Teho. "They are broadcasting orders to their colonial forces to release enslaved populations and return to home territory." "Good," Teho replied. "Continue monitoring their compliance. Any violations of the peace agreement will result in immediate recapture of their military assets." The success of these operations sent a clear message to the rest of the galaxy. Human threats were not empty words. Species that chose aggression over peace would find their military capabilities removed without warning or negotiation. But humanity's influence was not limited to military enforcement. Species that had proven themselves trustworthy during the observation period were receiving remarkable benefits from their partnership with Earth. The Altair Federation had been granted access to human medical technology that could cure diseases that had plagued their people for centuries. The Centauri Republic received dimensional communication devices that allowed instant contact across vast distances. Smaller peaceful species were given defensive systems that could protect them from any remaining aggressive neighbors. Captain Yun Su Lee commanded the human ship responsible for technology transfers to friendly species. Her vessel appeared in Altair space carrying medical equipment that seemed like magic to the local doctors. "Captain," her chief medical officer reported, "we have successfully cured the genetic plague that was affecting the Altair colonies in the Outer Rim. Their mortality rates have dropped to 0. "Excellent work," Yunsu replied. "Load the equipment for the next delivery. The Centauri Republic is expecting their communication upgrades tomorrow." Director Yun B. Song managed the vast network of human observers who now openly monitored every star system in the galaxy. Unlike the secret surveillance of the test period, this monitoring was announced and accepted by most species. "Status report," she requested from her command center on Mars. "All monitored species are in compliance with peace agreements," her intelligence chief reported. "Trade disputes are being resolved through arbitration. Military actions have dropped to their lowest levels in recorded galactic history. Any signs of species planning to challenge human authority?" "None, Director." The effectiveness of Operation Mirror Shield seems to have convinced even the most aggressive species that resistance is futile. But perhaps the most remarkable change was happening on the Galactic Council Station itself. Ambassador Wu Jin Li had been elected as the first human council president, a new position created to coordinate galactic peace efforts. In his inaugural address to the Council, Wu Jin stood before representatives who now looked at humans with respect instead of dismissal. "Honored colleagues," he began. "6 months ago, humanity revealed that we had been watching and learning about each of your species. Today I stand before you as partners in building a galaxy where peaceful development is possible for all." The chamber was filled with species that had once been enemies but now worked together under human oversight. The Valdris Republic sat next to colonies they had once threatened. Former Kethvar subjects worked alongside their previous oppressors to build new trade relationships. "Our goal was never to rule over you," Wu Jin continued. "Our goal was to create conditions where every species could grow and develop without fear of conquest or enslavement. That goal is now within reach." Captain Sora Park had been promoted to Admiral and given command of the new Joint Galactic Defense Force.